ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Respected elders and my dear brothers, this is our last majlis, the final majlis of this ijtima. In a few moments, inshallah, dua will be performed. The last dua of the ijtima. Before that, we have to make a certain niyat. Dua which is made after niyat of doing something, that dua brings the rahmat of Allah. That dua brings the acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. So the slave of Allah, the servant of Allah, he makes a niyat to do certain a'mal, and then he lifts his hands and makes dua to Allah. That dua reaches the heavens. That dua brings the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what niyat are we going to make before we make dua? Briefly I will tell that. And then Maulana will make dua. My dear brothers, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in his last Hajj, which is known as Hajjatul Wida, that was the last Hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That is known as Hajjatul Wida. Wida means departing. The Hajj is known as Hajjatul Wida because 2 months after that Hajj, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam departed from dunya. 2 months after that Hajj, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam departed from the ummah, departed from dunya. So that is why that Hajj is known as Hajjatul Wida. In that Hajjatul Wida, the departing Hajj, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave certain advices and put certain responsibility on the ummah. That advices are still for the ummah until the day of Qiyamah. And those responsibilities Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put on his ummah will continue until Qiyamah. So those responsibilities will also continue until Qiyamah. He gave a message to the ummah, to the coming ummah until the day of Qiyamah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave a certain message. That message still is for us. As his nabuwwat is for all times to come until the day of Qiyamah, his message is also for all times to come until the day of Qiyamah. Briefly, I will tell you that the responsibilities Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has put on the ummah, on our shoulders, and the message he gave to the ummah until the day of Qiyamah. The ijtima means gathering. The ijtima was of Sahaba, and the place was plains of Arafat. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was standing on the mountain, Mount Rahmah. From the Mount of Rahmah, he delivered his khutbah. Sahaba were on the plains of Arafat. All the Sahaba. And he delivered his khutbah. Khutbah is known as khutbah Hajjatul Wida. That is the khutbah of his Wida, his separation, his departure from the Ummah. He asked the Sahaba, have I conveyed the message of Allah to you? Have I conveyed the message which Allah had sent to me? Have I conveyed that message to you? Sahaba in one voice said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, not only you conveyed the message, you have fulfilled the right of conveying the message. Upon that, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he raised his ungli of shahadat finger towards the heavens and said, Ya Allah, you are the witness. You are the witness. You are the witness. 3 times he said, Oh Allah, you are the witness. And then he gave the message to them. He put the responsibility upon them, on their shoulders, that I have conveyed the message to you. Now it is your part to convey the message to the mankind that is going to come until the day of Qiyamah. I have conveyed to you, now it is your part to convey my message to those who are absentees, who are going to come until the day of Qiyamah. It is your part. Hajis are coming from Hajj. Most of them have returned. This is the message they are bringing from there. From the plains of Arafat, from the Mount of Rahmah, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam delivered this khutbah and gave this message to the ummah. Now, my dear brothers, Sahaba fulfilled their responsibility. Sayyidina Abu Ayyub Ansari, he was the first host of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the first host. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated from Mecca to Medina, every person had the desire that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should stay in my house, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had no house in Medina. His house was in Mecca, which was left, and now in Medina he has no house. So naturally he is going to stay in someone's house. So every person in Medina had the desire that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should stay in my house. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, leave my camel. Wherever it goes and sits, that is the sign from Allah that I should stay there. That camel went and sat on the door of Sayyidina Abu Ayyub Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stayed in Sayyidina Abu Ayyub Ansari's house for 7 months. 7 months. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam stayed in Sayyidina Abu Ayyub Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu's house. Then Masjid Nabi was built. Rooms were built for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he shifted from there to Masjid Nabi's Masjid Nabi. That host, the first host of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is buried in Istanbul, in Turkey. the first host of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his grave is in